Imagine handing over your savings to get in on an investment with the promise of double-digit returns, only to find the interest payouts abruptly stop and you can't get your cash back. That's what some frustrated investors in our viewing area say has happened to them. Claims totaling millions of dollars are filed with the courts from Windsor to Toronto as people try to recoup their losses. Investors are not the only ones demanding answers and money from a Waterloo businessman. And as Janine Grespan reports, he is named in a growing number of lawsuits.
Doug and Susan Duesling own and operate this trucking business in Waterford, south of Brantford. In October 2007, the couple had some retirement funds to invest. They say a trusted contact recommended Daniel P. Reeve.
I had my life insurance with his brother, who at the time they were with DPR Financial in Cambridge.
With what they'd seen and heard about this successful financial investor, they felt confident. The Dueslings say they put $150,000 into this St. Jacobs business, owned by Reeve, a one-year investment with a high rate of return.
18%. It's pretty attractive.
But a year later, they tell us, the October interest payment was late. The Dueslings wanted their capital back along with an additional $57,000 they had invested through Reeve. With legal intervention, an interest payment of just over $29,000 was paid to them in January. To cover the principal, they also received these two post-dated checks from Jakobstettel Properties Incorporated, totaling $220,000. But the Dueslings say they couldn't cash them due to a lack of funds. Now they're taking legal action, but worried they won't get their money back.
I want to believe we will, but realistically, no.
Retired Elmira businessman Milt Shoemaker says he first invested with Daniel Reeve in 2004. They met at church, became good friends.
It was just seemed natural for us to talk to him.
You trusted him?
Yes.
While still with Manulife, Reeve offered Shoemaker an investment in the Jakobstettel Inn business. The 10% interest more attractive than what his Manulife RRSPs were making. But last September,
the money stopped coming.
He said the interest payments stopped abruptly. Now Shoemaker is trying to get $180,000 back through the courts. Reeve, his company Jakobstettel Estates Incorporated, and the manufacturer's life insurance company, now Manulife Financial, are all named in that lawsuit. Manulife Financial Limited would not comment on a case before the courts. The case of a Windsor area family who also invested in the Jakobstettel Inn has already made its way through the courts. The judgment is in their favor. Now Daniel Reeve owes them over $1 million. In an interview, Daniel Reeve had this explanation.
In this case, where we've done some loans to the companies to pay them a very attractive rate and plow that money back into the business, that's great in an up market. And unfortunately, I haven't been through a market like this myself either. And we're learning fast. And it's not fun, but as I said, I got a great team, and we're here to do the right thing, and that's what we're going to do.
He also had this to say.
This was not a grand scheme. This is not another Madoff story. This is not a Pigeon King situation, and we're very familiar with those situations.
This Kitchener man doesn't accept that. He's suing Daniel Reeve for fraud, among other things. He says he cashed in RRSPs to invest in a business through Reeve Hotels and Resorts Incorporated, but the deal didn't go through. After nearly a year, he says Reeve still has not returned the money. This man's financial advisor, David A. Reeve, is also named in the lawsuit.
I wouldn't have known about this deal, this scheme, this business without David. Obviously, I didn't know Daniel.
David Reeve now operates Davelin Financial in Kitchener. He declined an interview, instead faxing this statement to CTV April 2nd, which reads in part, "We have not encouraged people to invest with or through Daniel and his companies. Some of our clients did choose, with or without our advice or encouragement, to place their capital with Daniel. We must emphasize that we did not encourage those transactions." However, the Dueslings also say David referred them to Daniel.
We went to their office in Cambridge, and we met with his brother more than we met with him, and he was after us to do this investment. Finally, we did the investment, and that was the first time I met Daniel.
Most of the Dueslings' money, they believe, was invested in the Jakobstettel Inn business. Court records show two different mortgage holders on this property are suing for default on payments. Now one of them wants over $675,000 by mid-May, or the property will be sold. Right now, the Jakobstettel Inn is not open for business. After 2 weeks of locked doors and unanswered telephone calls, this couple with June wedding plans has lost confidence.
My heart is here. This is where I wanted to have my wedding, and for the last year and a half have been planning.
Besides the $1,900 deposit, there are other concerns.
We have a caterer booked, a photographer booked, the band, the florist. I mean, we're really at the 11th hour, and we're really unsure as to what's going on with no answers here.
This couple did manage to get an answer on a cell phone.
Hello, is this Daniel Reeve? Hi, this is Mark Henner's calling. Okay, so I have your promise that you'll be able to talk to us sometime in between the 12th and the 15th.
But bride-to-be Shannon Morrison isn't optimistic their August 8th wedding will be celebrated here.
I'm extremely skeptical.
And very concerned they'll lose all their money on deposit. Concerned just like some Jakobstettel investors. Investors aren't the only ones claiming outstanding debt. A local hockey club is trying to collect on an unpaid bill. The Kitchener Odd, home of the Rangers. During the 07-08 season, this on-ice logo was displayed, advertising the Millionaire Group, a company owned by Daniel P. Reeve. Advertising never paid for.
The checks were returned for insufficient funds, so besides follow-up, there was some face-to-face meetings with our staff, but again, at the end of the day, we weren't paid.
Now the hockey club has filed this claim for nearly $9,000 against DPR Financial, formerly known as Daniel P. Reeve and Associates, a business he operated with his brother David. DPR is no longer in business, Reeve tells us, and he's not a financial advisor. So what about people's money?
Nobody's taken off. Nobody's hiding stuff. We don't have Swiss bank accounts. We simply kept the money in the businesses and tried to grow those businesses and do the right thing, and we got behind the 8 ball. And now we're digging ourselves up. And it's not fun. It's embarrassing as all heck. But, we're here to do the right thing.
But some investors who put their faith and money in his hands are not convinced, and they have life savings at stake.
Doug, what does that money represent to the two of you?
Years and years, 30 years of hard work, and it was our life savings. It was our retirement.
Milt Shoemaker and his wife, who didn't want to appear on camera, are devastated.
It represents our life savings and something which was going to allow us to enjoy our freedom and life for the rest of our years.
If the money's there, we'd like it back. If it isn't there, we'd like to know where it went.
Some people have gone to Waterloo Regional Police. The fraud branch is currently reviewing more than 20 complaints regarding financial dealings with Daniel Reeve. Janine Graspan, CTV News, Waterloo.